A Raisin in the Sun, Act 2, Scene 2. Time, Friday night, a few weeks later. At Rise, packing crates mark the intention of the family to move. Benita and George come in, presumably from an evening out again. George. Okay, whatever you say. They both sit on the couch. He tries to kiss her. She moves away. Look, we've had a nice evening. Let's not spoil it, huh? He again turns her head and tries to nuzzle in, and she turns away from him. Not with distaste, but with a momentary lack of interest. In a mood to pursue what they were talking about. Benita, I'm trying to talk to you. We always talk. Benita, yes, and I love to talk. George, exasperated, rising. I know, and I don't mind it. Sometimes. I want you to cut it out, see? The moody stuff, I mean. I don't like it. You're a nice-looking girl. All over. That's all you need, honey. Forget the atmosphere. Guys aren't going to go for the atmosphere. They're going to go for what they see. Be glad for that. Drop the Garbo routine. It doesn't go with you. As for myself, I want a nice, groping, simple, thoughtfully, sophisticated girl. Not a poet, okay? He starts to kiss her, and she rebuffs him again, and he jumps up. Benita, why are you angry, George? George, because this is stupid. I don't go out with you to discuss the nature of quiet desperation or to hear all about your thoughts. Because the world will go on thinking what it thinks, regardless. Benita, but then why read books? Why go to school? George, with artificial patience, counting on his fingers. It's simple. You read books to learn facts, to get grades, to pass the course, to get a degree. That's all. It has nothing to do with thoughts. A long pause. Benita. I see. He starts to sit. Good night, George. George looks at her a little oddly and starts to exit. He greets Mama coming in. George. Oh, hello there, Mrs. Younger. Mama. Hello, George. How are you feeling? George. Fine. Fine. How are you? Oh, a little tired. You know them steps can get you after a day's work. You all have a good time tonight? George. Yes, a fine time. Well, Mama, good night. George. Good night. He exits. Mama closes the door behind her. Oh, hello, honey. What are you sitting sitting like that for? Benita, I'm just sitting. Mama, didn't you have a nice time? Benita, no. Mama, no? What's the matter? Benita, Mama, George is a fool. Honest. She rises. Mama, hustling around, unloading the packages she is entered with. She stops. Is he, baby? Benita, yes. Benita makes up Travis's bed as she talks. Mama, are you sure? Benita, yes. Mama, well, I guess you better not waste your time with no fools. Benita looks up at her mother, watching her put groceries in the refrigerator. Finally, she gathers up her things and starts into the bedroom. At the door, she stops and looks back at her mother. Benita, Mama? Mama, yes, baby. Benita, thank you. Mama, for what? Benita, for understanding me this time. She exits quickly, and the mother stands, smiling a little, looking at the place where Benita just stood. Ruth enters. Ruth, oh, now don't you fool with any of this stuff, Lena. Mama, oh, I just thought I'd sort a few things out. Is brother here? Ruth, yes. Mama, with concern. Is he? Ruth, reading her eyes. Yes. Mama is silent and someone knocks on the door. Mama and Ruth exchange weary and knowing glances, and Ruth opens it up to admit the neighbor, Mrs. Johnson, who is a rather squeaky, wide-eyed lady of no particular age, with a newspaper under her arm. Mama, changing her expression to acute delight and a ringing, cheerful greeting. Oh, hello there, Johnson. Johnson. This is a woman who decided long ago to be enthusiastic about everything in life, and she is inclined to wave her wrist vigorously at the height of her exclamatory comments. Hello there yourself. How you doing, Ruth? Ruth, not much of a deceptive type. Fine, Miss Johnson. How you? Miss Johnson. Fine. Reaching out quickly, playfully, patting Ruth's stomach. Ain't you starting to poke out none yet? She mugs with delight at the overfamiliar remark, and her eyes dart around, looking at the crates and packing preparation. Mama's face is a cold sheet of endurance. Well, ain't we getting ready round here, though? Yes, sir, look at there. I'm telling you, the youngers is really getting ready to move on up a little higher. Bless God. Mama, a little dryly, doubting the total sincerity of the blesser. Bless God. Johnson. He good, ain't he? Mama. Oh, yes, he's good. I mean, sometimes he works in mysterious ways, but he works, don't he? Mama. The same. Yes, he does. Johnson. I'm just so happy for y'all. And this here child, about Ruth, looks like she could just pop open with happiness, don't she? Where's all the rest of the family? Mama. Benny's gone to bed. Johnson. Ain't no. The implication is pregnancy. Sickness done hit you, I hope. Mama. No, she's just tired. She was out this evening. Miss Johnson. All is a coup, an emphatic coup. Aw, ain't that lovely? She's still going out with that little Murchison boy. Mama, dryly. Johnson, that's lovely. You sure got lovely children, younger. Me and Isaiah talks all the time about what fine children you was blessed with. We sure do. Mama, Ruth, give Miss Johnson a piece of sweet potato pie and some milk. Johnson, oh, honey, I can't hardly stay a minute. I just dropped in to see if there was anything I could do. Accepting the food easily. I guess y'all seen the papers what's all over the colored, seen the news what's all over the colored paper this week. Mama, no, didn't get mine this week. Johnson, lifting her head and blinking with the spirit of catastrophe. You mean you ain't read about how them colored people that was bombed out of their place out there? Ruth straightens with concern and takes the paper and reads it. Johnson notices her and feeds commentary. Johnson. Ain't it something how bad these here white folks is getting here in Chicago? Lord, getting so you think you was right down in Mississippi. With a tremendous and rather insincere sense of melodrama. Course, I think it's wonderful how our folks keep on pushing out. You hear some of these Negroes round here talking about how they don't go where they ain't wanted and all that, but not me, honey. This is a lie. Wilhelmina Othello Johnson goes anywhere, anytime she feels like it. With head movement for emphasis. Yes, I do. Why, if we left it up here to these crackers, the poor niggers wouldn't have nothing. She clasped her hand over her mouth. Oh, I always forget you don't allow that word in your house. Mama, quietly looking at her. No, I don't allow it. Johnson, vigorously again. Oh, me neither. I was just telling Isaiah yesterday when he come in, using it in front of me, I said, Isaiah, it's just like Miss Younger says all the time. Mama, don't you want some more pie? Johnson, oh, no, thank you. This was lovely. I just got to get on over home and have my midnight coffee. I hear some people say it don't let them sleep, but I finds I can't close my eyes less'n I done have that last cup of coffee. She waits, a beat, undaunted. My good night coffee, I calls it. Mama, with much eye rolling and communication between herself and Ruth. Ruth, why don't you give Miss Johnson some coffee? Ruth gives Mama an unpleasant look for her kindness. Johnson, accepting the coffee. Where's brother tonight? Mama, he's lying down. Johnson, he sure gets his beauty rest, don't he? Good-looking man. Sure is a good-looking man. Reaching out to pat Ruth's stomach again. I guess that's how come we keep having babies round here. She winks at Mama. One thing about brother, he always knows how to have a good time. And so ambitious. I bet it was his idea, y'all moving out to Claiborne Park, sorry. Lord, I bet this time next month y'all names will have been in the papers plenty. Holding up her hands in front to mark off each word of the headline she can see in front of her. Negroes invade Claiborne Park. Bombed. Mama. She and Ruth look at the woman in amazement. We ain't exactly moving out there to get bombed. Johnson. Oh, honey, you know I'm praying to God every day that don't nothing like that happen. But you have to think of life like it is. And these here Chicago peckerwoods is some bad peckerwoods. Mama, wearily. We done thought about all that, Miss Johnson. Benita comes out of the bedroom in her robe and passes through to the bathroom. Mrs. Johnson turns. Johnson. Hello there, Benny. Benita, crisply. Hello, Mrs. Johnson. Johnson. How is school? Benita, crisply. No, fine, thank you. She goes out. Johnson, insulted. Getting so she don't have much to say to no one. Mama, the child was on her way to the bathroom. Johnson, I know, but sometimes she act like she ain't got time to pass the time of day with nobody that ain't been to college. Oh, I ain't criticizing her none. It's just, well, you know how some of our young people gets when they get a little education. Mama and Ruth say nothing. They just look at her. Yes, well, I guess I better get going. I better get on home and moving. Course, I understand how she must be proud and everything, being the only one in the family to make something of herself. I just know being a chauffeur ain't never satisfied brother none. He shouldn't feel like that, though. Ain't nothing wrong with being a chauffeur. Mama, there's plenty wrong with it. Johnson, what? Mama, plenty. My husband always said being any kind of a servant wasn't a fit thing for a man to have to be. He always said a man's hands was made to make things or to turn the earth with, not to drive nobody's car for him or, she looks at her own hands, carry they slop jaws. And my boy is just like him. He wasn't meant to wait on nobody. Johnson, rising, somewhat offended. The youngest is too much for me. She looks around. You sure one proud acting bunch of colored folks. Well, I always think like Booker T. Washington said one that time, education has spoiled many a good plow hand. Mama, is that what old Booker T. said? Johnson, he sure did. Well, it sounds just like him. The fool. Johnson, indignantly. Well, he was one of our great men. Mama, who said so? Johnson, nonplussed. You know, me and you ain't never agreed about some things, Lena Younger. I guess I better be going. Ruth, quickly. Good night. Johnson, good night. Oh, thrusting at her. You can keep the paper. With a trill. Night. Mama, good night, Mrs. Johnson. Mrs. Johnson exits. Ruth, if ignorance was gold. Mama, shh, don't talk about folks behind their backs. Ruth, you do. Mama, I'm old and corrupted. Benita enters. You was rude to Miss Johnson, Benita, and I don't like it at all. Benita at her door. Mama, if there are two things we as a people have to overcome, one one is the Ku Klux Klan, and the other is Mrs. Johnson. She exits. Mama, smart Alec. The phone rings. Ruth, I'll get it. Mama, Lord, ain't this a popular place tonight? Ruth at the phone. Hello? Just a minute. Goes to the door. Walter, it's Mrs. Arnold. Waits. Goes back to the phone. Tense. Hello? Yes, this is his wife speaking. He's lying down now. Yes. Well, he'll be there tomorrow. He's been very sick. Yes. I know we should have called, but we were so sure he'd be able to come in today. Yes. Yes, I'm very sorry. Yes. Thank you very much. She hangs up. Walter is standing in the doorway of the bedroom behind her. It was Mrs. Arnold. Walter, indifferently. Was it? Ruth. She said if you don't come in tomorrow, they're getting a new man. Walter. Ain't that sad? Ain't that crying sad? Ruth. She said Mr. Arnold has had to take a cab for 3 days. Walter, you ain't been to work for 3 days? This is a revelation to her. Where have you been, Walter Lee Younger? Walter looks at her and starts to laugh. You're going to lose your job. Walter. That's right. He turns on the radio. Ruth. Oh, Walter, and with your mother working like a dog every day. A steamy, deep blues pours into the room. Walter. That's sad, too. Everything is sad. Mama. What you been doing these 3 days, son? Walter. Mama, you don't know all the things a man what got leisure can find to do in this city. What's this, Friday night? Well, Wednesday, I borrowed Willie Harris's car and I went for a drive. Just me and myself and I drove and drove way out, way past South Chicago. And I parked the car and I sat and I looked at the steel mills all day long. I just sat in the car and looked at them big black chimneys for hours. Then I drove back and I went to the Green Hat. Pause. And Thursday, I borrowed the car again. And I got in it and I pointed it the other way. Then I drove the other way for hours, way, way up to Wisconsin. And I looked at the farms. I just drove and looked at the farms. And then I drove back. And I went to the Green Hat. Pause. And today I didn't get the car. The day I just walked all over the South Side. And I looked at the Negroes and they looked at me. Finally, I just sat down on the curb at 39th and South Parkway. And I just sat there and I watched the Negroes go by. And then I went to the Green Hat. Y'all sad? Y'all depressed? You know where I'm going right now? Ruth goes out quietly. Oh, Big Walter. Oh, Mama, sorry. Mama. Oh, Big Walter, is this the harvest of our days? Walter, you know what I like about the Green Hat? I like this little cat they got there who knows how to blow a sax. Ooh, he blows. He talks to me. He ain't but about 5 feet tall, and he got a conked head, and his eyes is always closed, and he's all music. Mama, rising and getting some papers out of her handbag. Walter. And then there's this other guy who plays the piano, and man, they got a sound. I mean, they can work on some music. They got the best little combo in the world at the Green Hat. You can just sit there and drink and listen to them three men play, and then you realize that don't nothing matter worth a damn but just being there. Mama, I've helped do it to you, haven't I, son? Walter, I've been wrong. Walter, nah, you ain't never been wrong about nothing, Mama. Mama, listen to me now. I say I've been wrong, son. That I've been doing to you what the rest of the world been doing to you. She turns off the radio. Walter. She stops and he looks up slowly at her, and she meets his eyes pleadingly. What you ain't never understood is that I ain't got nothing, don't own nothing, ain't never really wanted nothing that wasn't for you. There ain't nothing as precious to me. There ain't nothing worth holding on to. Money, dreams, nothing else. If it means it's going to destroy my boy. She takes an envelope out of her handbag and puts it in front of him, and he watches her without speaking or moving. I paid the man $3,500 down on the house. That leaves $6,500. Monday morning, I want you to take this money and the $3,000 and put it in a savings account for Benita's medical schooling. The rest of it, you put in a checking account with your name on it. And from now on, any penny that come out of it or go into it is for you to look after, for you to decide. She drops her hands a little helplessly. It ain't much, but it's all I've got in the world, and I'm putting it in your hands. I'm telling you to be the head of this family now, from now on, like you were supposed to be. Walter stares at the money. You trust me like that, Mama? Mama, I ain't never stopped trusting you, like I ain't never stopped loving you. She goes out, and Walter sits looking at the money on the table. Finally, in a decisive gesture, he gets up and in a mingled joy and desperation picks up the money. At the same moment, Travis enters for bed. Travis, what's the matter, Daddy? You drunk? Walter, sweetly, more sweetly than we've ever known him. No, Daddy ain't drunk. Daddy ain't never going to be drunk again. Travis, well, good night, Daddy. The father has come from behind the couch and leans over, embracing his son. Walter, son, I feel like talking to you tonight. Travis, about what? Walter, oh, about a lot of things. About you and what kind of man you are going to be when you grow up. Son, what do you want to be when you grow up? Travis, a bus driver. Walter, laughing a little. Oh, what? Man, that ain't nothing to want to be. Travis, why not? Walter, 'cause man, it ain't big enough. You know what I mean? Travis, I don't know then. I can't make up my mind. Sometimes Mama asks me that too, and sometimes when I tell her I want to be just like you, she says she don't want me to be like that. And sometimes she said that she does. Walter, gathering him up in his arms. You know what, Travis? In 7 years, you're going to be 17 years old. And things is going to be very different with us in 7 years, Travis. One day when you are 17, I'll come home. Home from my office downtown somewhere. Travis, you don't work in no office, Daddy. Walter, no, but after tonight, after what your daddy is going to do tonight, there's going to be offices. A whole lot of offices. What you going to do, Travis? What you going to do tonight, Daddy? Walter, You wouldn't understand yet, son, but your daddy's going to make a transaction, a business transaction that's going to change our lives. That's how come one day when you about 17 years old, I'll come home and I'll be pretty tired. You know what I mean? After a day of conferences and secretaries getting things wrong the way they do. Because an executive's life is hell, man. The more he talks, the farther away he gets. And I'll pull the car up on the driveway. Just a plain black Chrysler, I think, with white walls. No, black tires. More elegant. Rich people don't have to be flashy. Though I'll have to get something a little sportier for Ruth. Maybe a Cadillac convertible to do her shopping in. And I'll come up the steps to the house, and the gardener will be clipping away at the hedges, and he'll say, "Good evening, Mr. Younger." And I'll say, "Good evening, Jefferson. How are you doing this evening?" And I'll go inside, and Ruth will come downstairs and meet me at the door, and we'll kiss each other, and she'll take my arm, and we'll go up to your room to see you sitting on the floor with the catalogs of all the great schools in America around you, all the great schools in the world. And I'll say, "All right, son, it's your 17th birthday. What is it that you've decided? Just tell me, where do you want to go to school? And you'll go. Just tell me what you want to be, and you'll be it. Whatever it is that you want." Yes, sir. He holds his arms open for Travis. You just name it, son. Travis leaps into them, and I hand you the world. Walter's voice has risen in pitch and hysterical promise, and on the last line, he lifts Travis high. Blackout.